Anarpita charim chirat karunayavatirna kalau. Samarpayitum unatojvalarasam svabhaktim shriyam. Samarpiyutam unatojvalarasam svabhaktim shriyam. Harih purata sundara dyuti kadamba sandipta. Harih purata sundara dyuti kadamba sandipta. Sada hridaya kandare spuratau yak satchinandanaha. Sada hridaya kandare spuratau vak satchinandanaha. Anarpita charim chirat kanutina kalau. Sanorpiyum udanato jvalarasam svabhakti shriyam. Hari purata sundara dhyuti kadamba sanipteya. Sada hridaya kandare spuratau yak sachinandana. Anarpita charim chirat kanarunalvatirna kalau. Smadarpitium udato jvalarasam svabhakti shriyam. Paripurata sundara dhyuti kadamba sandipita. Sada hridaya kandare spuratau vasachinandana. Mataji? Anarpita charim chirat kanuravatirna kalau. Samarpita itum utanto jvalarasam svabhakti shriyam. Hari purata sundara dhyuti kadamba sandipita. Sada hridaya kandare spuratau sachinandana. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Oh, word for word also by Srila Prabhupada. Anarpita, not bestowed. Charim, haven't been formally. Chirat, for a long time. Karunya, by causeless mercy. Avatirna, descended. Kalau, in the age of Kali. Samarpayitum, to bestow. Unnata, elevated. Ujvalarasam, the conjugal mellow. Svabhakti, of his own service. Shriyam, the treasure. Hari, the Supreme Lord. Purata, then gold. Sundara, more beautiful, duty of splendor, Kadamba with multitude, Sandipita lighted up, Sada always, Hridaya Khandare in the cavity of the heart, Spurato, let him be manifest. Va, your Sachinandana, the son of Mother Sachi. Translation: May the Supreme Lord, who is known as son of Sachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart, resplendent with the radiance of molten gold. He has appeared in an age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before. The most sublime and radiant mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. As I said, this is not a commentary from this verse, but actually this verse appears a little bit later, as we know, from the structure of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is, interestingly enough, translated as the character of living force in immortality. Chaitanya, it comes from chit, consciousness, living force. Chaitanya Charita Amrita. Charita can explain as a character. Also from Charita could be explained also as a traveling, as a walking, as a pastime. Now Amrita is immortal, also nectarian. So we can say, as Prabhupada explained in a introduction to Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is the character, the living force in immortality. We can also say the nectarian description of pastimes of Chaitanya, who is the highest consciousness. So this commentary appears actually from Antya-lila. And it happened to be that Lord Chaitanya was meeting with devotees. And somebody told him that Rupa Goswami has composed very, very nice verses describing the character of Krishna. And he composed the very, very beautiful Lalita Madhava, Vidagdha Madhava, so many nice scriptures, all the Goswamis described. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, yes, come. Recite it. Let me hear. And he was reciting the verse, and Chaitanya Prabhu was not very happy. He said, this verse is exaggeration. It's talking about me, not about Krishna. So, you shouldn't have done that. Anyways, the Prabhupada explaining. This verse appears in Vidagdha Madhava, very beginning, first chapter, second verse. In his commentary to Vidagdha Madhava, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks, Mahaprabhu spuritam vina harilila rasava parthanar iti bhava. Without the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one cannot describe the pastimes of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami said, may Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is exactly like a lion, what kills the elephants of desire, may be awakened in everyone's heart by his merciful blessings. One can understand the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. As you see, this is a Same verse translated by another Acharya, and he points out the lion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Since we are present in a lion temple, family people, they are accustomed to hear those things and they concentrate on things very easily. But those people who don't have kids, they a little bit, the attention is divided. So, Chaitanya came to bestow the hearts, in the hearts of our doubtful hearts, the simple truth of the surrendering, the importance of surrendering, and at the same time, not only simple surrendering, it will come a little bit later, I'll explain, but the whole Krishna conscious movement is about some type of devotion. And devotion means something to do with surrendering. As we said, when we come to Chaitanya Lila, Krishna hopes that we already studied Bhagavad Gita. And the end of Bhagavad Gita, what says? Sarva dharman parityaja. Reject all the other religions. Surrender to me. I'll protect you. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also did that. In the very beginning of his life, he started already with a very advanced level, although not so philosophical. Same Bhagavad Gita says, the chanting of God's name, the pranava, is the highest level of yajna. Reciting the names, actually sacrificing your breath to Lord. It's the highest sacrifice. It's your life force. So he induces to do that, but in a very simple way, in a village way, in a family way. He was a small boy and he was crying. He was not happy sometimes, many times. And the only chance to pacify him was chanting Krishna's name. In such a way, unconsciously, he introduced, first of all, the most important thing, the Yuga Dharma, chanting holy names, but in a very simple way. Yeah. The child is crying, you have to pacify him, and you find out, if you chant Hare Krishna, he calms down. So, at the same time, Prabhupada also, Chaitanya Charitamrita also says that he distributed these fruits of love of Godhead. Yeah, that's why he came. He didn't came just to take. Yes, we are usually have this habit of going to Lord for some benefit. That's actually why most of us come to Lord. Even though maybe that benefit which we are looking for is love of Godhead. So what's more important? The love we want to feel or the Lord who is giving it? What do we say? What is more important? You want to feel love or you want to serve Lord? Very tricky. Just yesterday I was listening to the class given by Giriraj Maharaj, and when he was just joining Krishna movement, Prabhupada, one of these first meetings, he asked him, you want to become God or you want to serve God? And Giriraj Maharaj explained that he was before quite into the impersonalism. You know, impersonalists or the Mayavadis, they think, I'm God. Therefore, they greet each other, Narayan, Narayan. Yeah, I never heard that, but it's coming from Prabhupada, and they do that. They say, okay, I'm God, and I meet another God, so we greet each other as God. And Giriraj Maharaj, to confirmed that, he had a poster, handmade poster in his apartment. You are God, in case you forget. And when he heard those words from Prabhupada, he understood, that's my spiritual master. He knows my heart, he knows everything, including what's on the wall of my apartment. Such a way. But besides that, Lord Chaitanya is also a God. Well, that's coming later. He didn't come to demand the surrender so much. He came with a presence, as we expect. Santa Claus coming to the Christmas time. You don't expect much the demands, Unless you're a good boy, you're not getting no presents at all. You have to be, It's just mercy. That's the difference. A special feature of Lord Chaitanya is his mercy. So he came to distribute those fruits of love of Godhead. And Chaitanya a little bit later, in the 9th chapter, explains that he presents himself as a gardener. There's a garden. Actually, the chapter is called The Tree of Devotional Service. And he explains that his love is spreading, is growing as a big tree. And he mentions that each branch has a name. This branch is Advaitacharya. This branch is Srivas. And he mentions so many devotees as the branches of the spiritual tree. And that tree is conscious. And he's a gardener. Through those devotees, he gives the fruits of love of Godhead. But there's a little problem which we'll face now. Adilila 9:34. I'm the only gardener. How many places I can go? How many fruits I can pick and distribute? It would be certainly very bad laborious task to pick the fruits and distribute them alone. And still I suspect some would receive them and others would not. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I order every man with this universe accept this Krishna consciousness movement and distribute it everywhere. I'm only gardener. If I do not distribute these fruits, what shall I do with them? How many fruits I can eat alone? So some of you know that for Chaitanya's coming, there's internal reasons and external. And external reasons is Kali Yuga, It's terrible. Recent events, how we see in Ukraine or some other parts of the world, there's always some fighting, some war going on. It's not pleasant. So for us it's like here in Bavarian forest, it's peaceful. How long? We are part of NATO, Who knows? Some very much, into the prediction, they say it's the Third World War coming. Yeah, could be. At the same time, Prabhupada has a prediction. In 73, he said, in 50 years, all the lies will be stopped and they will be revealed, all the big liars. But one big liar is revealed, the next liar is coming. And because people are uneducated, they vote for those liars because they took because they promised some nice things. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is catching us. He's also promising nice things. But he has to explain nicely. But since we know there was a time frame when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this world, that would be normal for a Lord to stay for a long time, But he still took some time, presented, he left the followers, and he gone for some other place, some other universe where also preaching needed, So therefore he said, yeah, I cannot eat alone those fruits of love. I came for the love, myself also, for your love, but I cannot eat alone. You have to share amongst yourselves. So in purport also it's explained about Srila Prabhupada. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu produced so many fruits of devotional service that they must be distributed all over the world. Otherwise, how could he alone relish and taste each of every fruit? Original reason that Krishna descended as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to understand Radharani's love for Krishna and to taste that love. The fruits of the tree of devotional service are innumerable, and therefore he wanted to distribute them unrestrictedly to everyone. And now Prabhupada quotes the same verse which we are reading here. There were many previous incarnations of Lord, a Supreme Personality of Godhead, but none were so generous, kind, and magnanimous as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For he distributed the most confidential aspect of devotional service, namely conjugal love of Radha and Krishna. Therefore, Rupa Goswami Prabhupada desires that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu live perpetually in the hearts of all devotees. Yeah, that's a way to extend or make sure, although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left our vision 500 years ago or so, we keep the Chaitanya in the hearts. In such a way we have a darshan from our hearts. So that's why Rupa said, yes, please, keep, and that's his blessings actually. I bless you. I wish that you keep Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the hearts. For thus we can understand and relish the loving affairs of Srimati Radharani and Krishna. And Chaitanya Gay says, distribute this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Let people eat those fruits and ultimately become free from old age and death. It's such a nice fruit. And it has a very beautiful side effects. Every medicine has a side effects. When we have medicine, we can read, let's say painkillers. It kills the pain, but may have what side effects usually painkillers have. You may be doze off, you may be sleepy, or some other things. But Krishna's fruits of love have very beautiful side effects. You get a lot of Godhead, and side by side, you get free from old age and death. Old age and death. Yeah, the mellow of conjugal love, probably it's the most exalted subject. At the same time, have to be touched upon. And in Madhya Lila, Prabhupada explains, also commentary. Why I'm quoting commentary? Because there's commentary again, this verse coming up. And Prabhupada says, there's different types of devotees. Those in Shantarasa, what's the next one? Gigi? Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. So 5 rasas. All these rasas are now on a transcendental platform. Madhurya rasa is supremely transcendental. Consequently, it is concluded with the worship of devotees engaged in Lord's service in Madhurya rasa is supreme spiritual activity. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers mainly worship Lord Krishna in Madhurya rasa. We are Chaitanya's followers? We want to be. Or we followers of some other. incarnations of Lord. So it's quite interesting because we have Lord Nrsimhadev, and it's a little bit hard to imagine worshipping Lord Nrsimhadev in conjugal love, right? He's too scary. He's too scary. And even Lakshmi Devi, who is consort of Vishnu, when Lord Nrsimhadev appeared, she was confused. She was confused and didn't know how to approach Lord, since that very scary form and very unusual mood as well. So she was taken aback. And only Lord was able to approach by Prahlad Maharaj. He was very, very devoted. His name Prahlad is quite important for us to understand, since it is based on hlad. Hlad means, who knows the Sanskrit? Prahlad, hlad. Pride means above, the topmost. And hlad? Hlad, yes, love, enjoyment, happiness. We know that there is three main energies of Lord present in the spiritual world. Samvit, the knowledge, the Satchitananda, three energies. Eternity, the knowledge, and the bliss, And he's Hlad, he's Prahlad, he's always blissful. And that has very, very esoteric connection to the internal potency, Chit potency, and Hladni potency to Radharani. He actually is empowered and kind of connected to Radharani as well, since he is most blissful. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came to this world, he was always blissful. Yeah. And he tried to enjoy, he tried to understand, he tried to experience that mood of happiness which is experienced by Radharani, but at the same time also other devotees. Yeah? It was mentioned before here that he was enjoying the fruits, but also when he distributed those fruits to the whole spiritual tree of devotees, they were bearing fruits of love as well. So he was enjoying that too. And that's sometimes maybe misunderstood, or maybe in some pastimes it's difficult to understand. When we talk about Radharani, there is a kind of competition. Krishna is alone. He cannot spend at the same time all the time with all devotees. Sometimes he goes to one devotee. It is mentioned that in Bhagavad Gita, Yeyathamam prabhantyante. So when you surrender to Krishna in some way, he promises, I will reciprocate. So just imagine some devotee says, I want to be with you alone. Krishna has to reciprocate. That means if he is alone with that devotee, he leaves alone other devotees, right? So that makes a little bit of interesting pastimes. We know in the spiritual world there's a competition also, kind of transcendental competition. And when Krishna goes to Radharani, he sometimes are caught on the way by some other gopis. And most classical example is who? Chandravali. And she is a gopi of the left wing. Difference between left wing and right wing gopis or love, it is Chandravali always thinks Krishna is the most lovable. And I completely surrender him. I'm his. I belong to him. I will do whatever he wants. He's my Lord and Master. He's my lover. I belong to him. My love belongs to him. Radharani, interesting enough, it's more into the different mood, sometimes described by Rupa Goswami, Radha and her friends has a hot temper. Word is used, hot temper. So they have a little bit different. They also think Krishna is most beautiful, most lovable. He belongs to us. Krishna belongs to me. So Chandravali says, I belong to him. Radharani says, Krishna belongs to me. So it's kind of transcendental competition. Sometimes when it happens, Krishna goes to Radharani and he's caught by Chandravali. Come to me. And she's surrendering. It's pure, transcendently pure devotion. And he promised. He has to reciprocate. So therefore, he goes to Chandravali, and what happens? Radharani becomes jealous. Why? Who knows? It's very esoteric. From one point of view, you can say, we understand, I want to Krishna for me. Therefore, I'm jealous. But read the verse, lines before. She's completely sure Krishna belongs to me. Doesn't matter where he goes. So, only because there is acharyas who explain those subjects we can understand. She is Hladini. She is the original joyfulness, original happiness, energy, supreme spiritual energy. She's a source of all spiritual happiness to all the devotees, including Prahlad. So when Krishna goes to someone else, she understands. Krishna is missing out. He could be enjoying with me at the most highest level of happiness. And he goes something second. He leaves me, the highest happiness, for something lower. So therefore she cares about Krishna. I know this is best for you, and you're going for some leftovers, some rejects, How could you do that? And therefore she becomes jealous. And it's not classical worldly jealousy. It's actually pure, unalloyed devotion. And the only desire in a spiritual world for everyone to make Krishna happy. So Krishna enjoys those pastimes, like contradictory situations, more than anything. Even simple devotion. It is said that the sulky mood sometimes when the queens of Krishna approach him is more blissful than the all praise and hymns of Vedic scriptures, And verse which were here also was, as I told, written by Rupa Goswami for praising Lord Chaitanya. And he was not happy. He said, no, this is too much. You're talking about my good qualities. It's not good. Not good verse. Yes. Interesting enough. So these moods of understanding those rasas are quite important because they are kind of in progression. Although all of them are present in spiritual world. Every single one. Except Shantarasa. Shantarasa is in the border. We don't actually meet much Shantarasa devotees in Vrindavan especially. Yeah, maybe in Vaikuntha, okay, can say. Because Shanta means, wow, appreciating, be amazed. But that's it, nothing more. You appreciate, you're amazed, but it doesn't lead to any activity. So if it leads to some activity, so I want to something do for that amazing person, that is already dasya, that's already service. And when you do the service very nicely, what happens? You start to understand the person. Currently we have experience, and all the rasas we have in this material world, they are existing and working only because they are kind of reflection of those spiritual relationships. Although, somebody maybe heard of it, that those relationships are as a mirror reflecting. So the highest rasa, as explained here, is conjugal love. So that one is material world. Sorry to say, for the family people, that's the lowest one. because it is based on bodily concept. There is no spiritual rasa. There is some little bit of enjoyment, but not very often. Not all the time. That's the difference between spiritual rasa, because it's continuous. It's related to person which is eternal and continuous and unending. So that relationship is also unending. So if something happens, some happiness in the family life, we may experience it, but it can come and go. I can make it for sure. I had a family life. Not only one, I had the 3 family lives. Actually 4, including my mother. But like family life, like with wife, I had. And it comes and goes. One day she says, okay, I'm sick with you. I'm going. No? What to do? You cannot convince, surrender, you're my wife, She just goes, What to do, This is a culture of the Western world, In India, probably it's a little bit of different, although it's coming also. The Prabhupada explained that there was no divorce law some 100 years ago. That just not existent. Didn't happen. You get married, and it's for life. And there's different divorce law. There's vanaprastha law, or sannyasa law, but also has to be blessings of wife. True. So, as we say, those reflected rasas, the reflected relationships, they are happening gradually developing. So how it happens? Let me explain. When you're a family person, you're basing your relationships on that's my wife, that's my children, so on and so on. So the next level, kind of closer to spiritual world, is opposite. Who is next coming from family? Parents. The parental love, it is more selfless. It's true. Wife may demand some jewelry or saris. The husband may demand some service. But mother doesn't demand anything from the child. He just serves. It's already mother. True. So, and still there is some attachment. So what's next after parents? Is it? No, Madhurya? Friendship. So we can say that parents may serve the child, but many times they don't understand the kid. They have their own plans, They made the child to fulfill the plans, right? So they get maintained at old age, maybe, or they just want to be proud of child because he's so nice and advanced. Many things happen. But friends, they don't expect these things. You're just friends, You're close, And even more higher goes the servitude attitude, I don't expect, but I serve. Doesn't matter what happens, And then next comes the shantarasa, the neutrality. So Prabhupada explains, if you want to advance spiritually, it is very good that you are not too much attached to material world, and also not too much disgusted. If you're too much attached to material world, what happens? You start to do karma. You start to do activity to gain result. And when you're disgusted with material world, what you do? You become impersonalist. You become jnani, Renounced, Both those things are not helpful. So this healthy neutrality towards spiritual world is extremely important step to go to the spiritual. In that stage, when you add Krishna, then you start to appreciate Krishna. You're not neutral to the world. You can say you're kind of neutral to the Krishna as well, but straight away when you experience something like that, which is nothing compared in the material world, you start to appreciate that. You start to be amazed. You really, that's the thing. And that's already neutrality. Sorry? Oh, sorry. Yeah. So neutrality soon straight becomes the servitude. So gradually, servitude means you serve Krishna. Whatever you like to do, you serve Him. And once there was interesting example, which we know all of them, all of us know some kind of parties. Just imagine you have a party at home and people coming. There's guests coming and there's the friends coming. What's the difference? The guests come enjoy, right? They dance, they do like this. When the friends come, what they do? They straight away help serving, help cleaning, stuff like that. It's straight away a difference. So same thing, when you gradually progress those relationships with God, you first try to do something for Him. But usually we try to do things what we know already. I'm a good cook, I can cook for Krishna. I cook for my family, we're all alive. I'm good. Now I can cook for Krishna. I can sing. I can do this. Sometimes it is interesting when I do the plan of asking devotees, please next week come up with your ideas, how you want to serve Lord Nrsimhadev. I approach some brahmachari and say, would you be liking to do some service for Nrsimhadev? Yes, I can do. I need the evening pujari. He said, no, I cannot. I can do lunch, I cannot evening. And that's happening for last year. That's the principle, you understand? I can do something, I learned this thing, I'm ready to do that. But if Krishna asks me something more, no, I cannot do. And there's no desire to improve or develop something like this. You know, I can cook. I know there's devotee. I can cook lunch. Can you cook breakfast? No, I cannot. Or opposite. I can do breakfast, but no lunch. Never. No, forget it. Interesting, right? So this is our conditioning. We've come with our experience and we offer to Krishna. But that's a servitude, you know. When there's a friend, you go to his party. That's Krishna's party, Chaitanya's party. He is willing to, and he asked, obviously, I cannot eat fruits myself. I need helpers to distribute. So when somebody comes to you, can you please help distribute books? No, it's not. It's too advanced for me. I can cook. No books. Something like this. So, what even more? Prabhupada, at the first years of movements, he said, every single disciple of mine one day should become guru, including Mataji's. So, are we ready to become guru? No. I can serve, I can cook, not guru. But yes, sometimes it is. And Prabhupada himself had this kind of period when he was asked by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, take sannyas and preach the Krishna conscious movement in the West. And there was, he admitted, he said, I wanted to be with my Guru Maharaj. He is pure devotee. I want to be serving him. Why should I go away from him? Same thing in the Srimad Bhagavatam when we discuss currently for last weeks and months the Kardamana Muni and Devahuti. He left the world as well. Kapila, incarnation of God, come to his home. And he leaves the world, leaves the home. What's the question? Why he does that? Because he understood that serving him and particularly his instructions is more important than being in his physical close presence. So when you come to this stage and understand, I want to serve the instructions, the words, the desires which are expressed in those words, then become to the level of friends. And even more, once Prabhupada said, if you are accepting the mission of Lord Chaitanya in distributing books and protecting this movement from some wrong philosophy, the point of protection or providing financially for the movement, you are Vatsalya Rasa already. You're maintaining Krishna with your donations. You're protecting from some wrong philosophical things, you know. That's protective mood. Balarama is his elder brother. He's in a protective mood. When Mother Yashoda asks just before they leave for the cow pastures, Mother Yashoda asks, okay, when you go, let the Balaram go in front of you. And Subala will go on the left side of you, and this coward boy will go on the other side, and this will go behind. So in such a war formation, you go to the forest. So you are protected from all the sides by your elderly gopas who are in the mood of protective, you know, in Vatsalya. They're not exactly Vatsalya Rasa, but they have this mood of protection. So when you are very close, not only servant, friend, you gradually want to protect your friend, you know. That's already Vatsalya Rasa. And when that protection happens, and then you are very precisely know the desire of your friend, that we call intimate friend. And that intimacy can culminate in Madhura Rasa. I'm not qualified to talk about Madhura Rasa at all, but principle, this is when an intimacy, it is so deep that you read the mind of the person, which I think currently Grihastas understand. This is not the case in the material world. We usually argue, and unless you say something, you'll not understand. But properly family life would be reading the mind of your husband or wife without even him saying anything. That was intimacy. And Rupa Goswami, as here was explained, and most of followers are in this Madhura Rasa. For example, there's one case when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he praised Rupa Goswami. He said, well, he wrote a verse describing my mood of love and devotion. How he could understand that? He read my mind. You know, servants don't read the minds. They don't care about the minds of lords or any serving. Friends, they do, but they just have fun. They have common something like this. So parents also, they read the mind but understand, you know, you need this better. I understand what you want, but no, we know better what you need. So that mood, in a higher stage, it is explained by Radharani. She also sometimes says, I know what you need better. I don't care. I know what you want, but I know this is better for you. So this is very, very high spiritual relationships which are explained and shown example by followers of Lord Chaitanya, like this. Okay, 1/4 of the class prepared is gone. 15 minutes left. Any questions or comments on this stage so far? Rasa, taste, basically is taste. Taste. Rasa, as a Sanskrit word, basic, which we know, taste, but it's also a relationship. Mellow, but it was introduced by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Mellow, mood, kind of, yeah. Because taste is more like, okay, it's taste here, but also higher taste, you know, something like that. Mellow, rasa, yeah. Rasa dance of mellows, dance of enjoyment, yeah, rasa dance. Okay, one more point was interesting that mentioned in the verse. Oh, Hare Krishna. Yeah.
So you can continue.
No, go.
Thank you for your next class that you're going to continue. You know, this, I also don't want to talk about the Madhurya Ras, which is the highest level, this is the conjugal law. external reasons and those things, but one of the most unique things is that he made it possible to enter into conjugal relationships. Okay, but you made a point exactly that it's theoretical, because practical, I can't imagine that someone to enter into that relationship.
Very interesting point mentioned. Yes, true. And I can again compare, in the words of Prabhupada, he sometimes mentioned, interesting point, saying that for the spiritually advanced person, it is not advised to contact with material people, materially minded people, especially with a woman. But more dangerous than that is to associate with a man who is hencapped, henpacked, who is henpacked, who is under the heel of the woman, who is completely dominated by the woman. In a similar way, turning this in a mirror image up to the spiritual relationship, there's a positive thing when you associate with Lord Chaitanya. He brought this mood of conjugal love. We kind of try to associate with him by reading, by trying to understand his mood. But more better, more conducive than that, if you associate with those who are absorbed in Lord Chaitanya. So if you are dangerous associated with the materialistic, lusty woman, but more dangerous is to associate with man, because he will give us the very bad ideas or habits of doing that, which maybe not come into our mind when you deal with women. So in the same way, when you deal with Lord Chaitanya in his mood of Radharani, it's maybe we can come to some conclusion how and why. But if you associate with devotees who are his servants, you get very clear picture how to deal with Lord Chaitanya and how this motive is. So therefore, Krishna's statement in Bhagavad Gita that serving my devotee, I think it's Mahabharata, serving my devotee is more important than serving me. So in Chaitanya Lila, it's the same thing. If you want to properly catch the mood of Lord Chaitanya, you associate with his close associates, starting with Rupa Goswami. So that's the way, and the more and more we come down, like Prabhupada we know it's also mentioned as a founder acharya. But that doesn't mean his name means that he just established the movement. He established the understanding through whose words, through whose commentaries of Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand all previous acharyas, starting from Rupa and so on and so on down. So therefore, associating with devotees who have caught the movement, caught the mood of Chaitanya through this parampara is more important actually than directly trying to contact. Even chanting, Prabhupada introduced, said, yes, if you can chant like Haridas Thakur all the time, you may try to do it. But better, stay in an association of devotees. Or someone who said, I will live in Vrindavan and live for the begging somewhere in the Maya, in the streets of Vrindavan, some temple. He said, no, just come, take prasadam in Krishna Balaram Mandir. Like this. So this is important stuff, And therefore, this next point is coming up a little bit, I'm just touching it. So there is no other incarnation who has done that. And actually, it's not really incarnation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never presented himself as a Lord for the same reason. If you associate with him as a Krishna, as a Lord, you may get liberation. But if you associate with him as a devotee, you get bhakti. And that's special Madhurya Bhakti. It's a very, very most important part why he came as a devotee. Oh, he's more approachable. If you go to the even the prime minister of Germany or something like this, how easy it is approachable. You have to stand in a queue and fill up the forms and wait for months and months. You can write the email, okay, but personally, it's not easy at all. So for Lord himself, when he was coming as a Krishna, was not also easy for the people approach him. Yeah, that's such a, he had bodyguards, thousands and millions of bodyguards around him, a whole army, how you can approach Krishna. And you go to Vrindavan, and there's a fence around the Rasa area. You cannot go there too, So, what to do? But as a devotee, you can go anywhere. You're not allowed to go as a president in some shop, You'll have 100 bodyguards around you. So how you can have an intimate, close, friendly relationship with the prime minister if he is a prime minister? But when he comes home to his mother, he's just son, They have a coffee or a soup together, And there's 2, 3, 4 more sons, and they're all sons, And that's very friendly family relationship with the same person. So therefore, when Prabhupada explaining that we may approach for these benefits, even for love of Godhead, we love of Godhead. That's the dearest thing, we want it. He said, no. More important, what he gives is a person himself. And therefore, the devotees who serve him, when we associate with them, we catch the point. We catch sometimes maybe simple attitude. Who was the servant of Govinda, who was massaging Chaitanya's feet? Massaging feet. That was in the Gambhira. When the last days he was staying in Jagannath Puri, he was massaging his feet and he was dancing very long hours, and then he crashed down. And sometimes happened one particular time, he fell across the door, and his servant couldn't reach him. He was supposed to massage feet and he couldn't do it. So what he did, he stepped over Lord Chaitanya, like this, And then he massaged his feet, He did the service, and then after that, he just sitting there waiting. And Lord Chaitanya took quite a long time to wake up, And there was breakfast and prasadam time, there was lunch prasadam time, there was evening milk, and still he didn't wake up. And when he finally wake up, I think very late night or early morning next day, he was seeing his servant. He said, "What are you doing here?" "I'm waiting." So he wake up. "How you came here?" "I stepped over." Why you can step over now, just go? No, I stepped over because I was doing service. Now I'm going for prasadam, I step for my own thing. I cannot go out. So these intimate things we have to understand. When we have nothing more than trying to serve him, even on the cost of giving up some classical things, or even giving up that love of Godhead. Love of Godhead, because we think love of Godhead many times is ecstasy, what we expect. Satchit Ananda. We are missing the Ananda here in the mature world. So we think, if I serve Lord Chaitanya, I become happy. So the happiness is goal, not the service. So when we see the service of Goswamis, they did the same. Rupa Goswami is not, they wanted to be in the presence of Lord Chaitanya. And he said, no, go to Vrindavan, discover those places, holy places where Krishna was staying. And they had to go. And they were happy to go. And he said, because you are away from me, you will feel much more deeper closeness to me than my physical presence. So this is the mood of Madhurya, serving what's the best for the Lord. So if you catch up that Lord service from his servants, That's the highest benefit we can get. Otherwise, if you approach even the Lord directly, He's not so happy. But if we serve those who serve, He's more happy. That's what makes Him actually happy. So that's the main message of Lord Chaitanya. And I have to stop here. 1 minute, 2 minutes, maybe one more question. Yeah, well, you're first.
Serving the Lord directly. Thank you so much, Govinda Dev Prabhu. This point of serving the Lord directly, it reminds me of this point. Like Prabhupada make the statement that if we worship the deities, then we have to of the world, we have to worship the deities in a very opulent form, not in the form as Gopal playing, joking with his friends, no, in an opulence form, and this opulence form is the Ashvarya. Ashvarya is. Sometimes we read about we worship the Lord with awe and reverence. That is the love with rules and regulations, like we offer and we do arti, all these rules. So Prabhupada made this point that we have to worship the Lord in this way. We cannot worship the Lord directly in the way, because you mentioned directly, we cannot worship the Lord in His spontaneous way. Spontaneous Madhurya ras. That's too far for us. So you said we worship the Lord directly. It can mean, you mean through devotees. We have to worship the Lord through devotees. But another aspect is also that we worship the Lord on the altar, never in a direct way, as per order of Prabhupada.
Understood.
We worship Him in His Aswarya.
Prabhupada gave example of relationship of the grandson and the grandfather. They may have direct interaction, but the relationship is not direct. They are direct relationship with the father, and father relationship with the grandson. So same way, when we worship a deity, we have maybe direct interaction, but not direct relationship. Our relationship is through Guru, through Parampara, in such a way. We never worship as us doing that. In such a way, we also train ourselves to do the service as it done in a spiritual world. We may interact with Krishna directly in the spiritual world, but in that sense we will never have direct relationship with Him, because His direct relationships are already taken by Yashoda, by gopis, by things, and we will serve Him how they will explain us how to do it. So if Prabhupada says us we cannot do that, that means we cannot do it. So we serve Him as He said. At the same time, we have to understand most of the, some of them are given as instructions to His disciples according to their level of worship. So even if we see the deities of Radha Krishna on altar, because we are attracted to the opulence of Radha Krishna, actually we see Lakshmi Narayan. Yes. That's in the Pujari handbook, it's written even there. So worship is not like we have to worship in opulence. We have to understand the opulence in Vrindavan is more than Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha is so opulent. And Vrindavan, there's a tree is made of sapphire. with the ruby flowers and with the granite leaves, you know. And this is normal. Nobody puts so much attention. So opulence is always around Lord. Thing is what we value. So if we value the person more than opulence, we worship Krishna. If we value opulence more, we worship Lakshmi Narayan. But in both those ways, we interact with deity or even with Krishna directly, but we never have a direct relationship. Relationships will always go through Guru, or in spiritual world through our group leader, who is either Gopi or Gopa or parent or friend or servant, whatever.
Okay, understand. So that interaction can be direct with the
Relationship is true.
Thank you.
Thanks. Let's finish here and enjoy the three main parts of Krishna consciousness movement, which is chanting, dancing, and feasting. And all the rest of activities are meant to maintain three of those. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavad, Chaitanya Chaitamrita ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
In der Einleitung zum Tagesgesetz.